Welcome back to Loaded and Rolling. I'm your host, Thomas Wasson, and today we are talking about tires. Not just tires, but the technology that makes them work. And if you all do not know, for fleets it's expensive. Behind fuel, tires is the most expensive thing they will pay. You would think it's the drivers and the rigs, but you go through a lot more tires than any of that. From personal experience, I've spent a few $100s on tires, and it can be extremely expensive. RIP to my Las Vegas drivers. But we're going to be talking with the folks who have tire technology on the forefront. They're a startup out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the folks from RueData are going to be joining us today to talk about their tire technology and what it's doing to not only help save fleets money, but even save the environment. So we're going to be welcoming on, without further ado, Sebastian Baquero. He's the founder and CEO of RueData. And Sebastian, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome aboard.
Hey Thomas, the pleasure is mine. I'm pretty happy for being here to let you know what we're building and how we're benefiting the industry with quite simple technology, but quite powerful, as you said, to extend the life of a tire, reduce blowouts, flats, and at the same time, reduce carbon emissions.
And let's talk about the history of your company. You've all been around since 2018, recently closed a seed round in funding. Congratulations as well. Give us the backstory.
Thank you. So let's talk about the backstory. I start selling and importing tires more than 10 years ago. And by selling and importing tires, we start to give a lot of service to fleets. We start to measuring their tires and use all the tire management solutions that were available in the market and is still available. And by doing that, we start to seeing that in one urban bus fleet, the tires that wear out faster were the ones that were close to the doors. We didn't understand why. But we start to see in those buses, and what happens is people want to get in and get out fast of the bus. So more people is more weight, those tires wear out faster. So we started to suggest a different maintenance rotation for this kind of fleets, and tires start to last longer. So we have an aha moment, and it was like tires behaves as an optimization problem and not as an inventory problem. And there is a need to create software that uses data such as the brand of the vehicle, the route, the cargo, to suggest all the best maintenance recommendations, suggest which is the best tire that you have to purchase, and also reduce the probability of a sinister or accident that could be related with tires. So that's how we started. We started serving private fleets. Right now we're working with several kind of fleets. We're working with more than 40,000 vehicles, and we are working with companies such as food companies such as JBS, bottlers such as Heineken, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, cement companies such as Cemex, and also we're working with big trucking and buses companies that are looking for reduce their cost with this kind of simple and powerful technology.
And I like the fact that you're identifying the changes to tires because for a lot of companies, it's considered a consumable. Many didn't think you could get more time, more life out of them. And so, was there any kind of surprises as you started this startup and you're learning all these different type of tires? What kind of stuck out, caught you off guard, based on your experiences?
Data is amazing, and I think that data is amazing for everyone in this industry. We are discovering many things. We have many insights. We have talked about many very funny stories. One we have, for example, with EV fleets that right now they are so popular. We have seen, for example, that one of the premium brands doesn't perform really good in this kind of vehicles. Also, we have seen some vehicles that has like circular routes, and the tires that wear out faster are the ones that are more close to the right part of the vehicle or the left part of the vehicle. Also, we have seen that in some brand of vehicles, one tire could perform really good, but in some other it's not. So it's unbelievable when you have the data and you said, it's incredible. I have just to change the way I'm doing to extend the life of a tire and reduce a cost that could be the second largest or the third largest, Thomas, as you said. So we have many different kind of stories and very funny about data. Also, for example, with one fleet, they have seen that one brand of vehicle performs 12% better on tires, and for their TCO analysis, that has changed the decision of which brand of vehicle they have to purchase. So There's a lot of power and data and money on tires.
It's wild that on the first part you told me, I think for the EVs we had a conversation, was it the Chinese tire companies that made the best one, cuz it's like a worldwide tire making kind of thing. Was that correct? Was that the Chinese tires were better for the EVs and the American ones were not?
Yeah, that's true, and it's incredible, but the fleets are taking the decisions based on data, not based on gut. And data is money. With that, they're reducing like 30% their cost per mile. So if you
Wow.
multiply the cost per every mile do you have, it's a lot of money. It's tons of money.
So let's talk about how do we collect data from the tires? Let's see what the tell us about how the technology works. Do we put sensors inside the tires? Do I put like a laser next to them? Do I use a little tread depth? What's the best way to figure out and start collecting this data to feed it in the algorithms?
That's a great question. So what we have developed is a pretty easily and simple tool. Just keep doing what you're doing, measuring their threat depth by the DOT inspection that you're doing annually or quarterly or semester. You could do the same. So we have a handheld. It's not mandatory, but this is how you gather the information of the threat depth pretty easily. Also, we could gather through that handheld the air pressure information and upload it in the app. The same thing you are already doing for the DOT inspection. Also, we could, if you have TPMS sensors, temperature and pressure monitoring system, we could integrate with them and gather information from those sensors. What we have seen so far with our clients, that is still expensive, so it's not a really good moment. Prices should go down to have this kind of sensors. But if you need it or for safety, you have it. You could also have the information of the air pressure on real time. And we connect our software through the telematics. So we gather the information of mileage, routes. Also, we could connect with your ERP. So if you purchase any kind of tires, we are integrated and we have in our software this kind of information and also with your TMS. And with that, we will suggest you which is the best maintenance, which is the best tire that you have to purchase. Also, if you need to check a tire, for example, in 3 months you have to replace a tire, so you will have an alert that you have to check that tire because there's a high probability to replace it. And if you replace it, you will avoid maybe a flat or maybe a blowout. So simple, but how we gather the same way as you're gathering your current information of your tires, digitalize it, optimize it with machine learning algorithms, integrate with other systems, and by that, we're giving the simple recommendations to extend the life of your tire. Sounds simple, but behind our algorithms, there's a lot of math and a lot of variables. We process more than 50 million data points per day. So imagine this quite simple asset, all the data that is behind that.
And I think that's so cool because the handheld, the device itself, you're getting not only the location you're checking it, but you're checking every single tire by just putting the device in it. And it's a lot of folks talk about AI, they'll simulate things, but you're collecting actual data points over the life cycle of a tire end to end, location, climate, conditions. And so that kind of opens the doors. I'm assuming, like, imagine I'm in Florida. I wonder if I have like worse, I need to buy a certain brand for Florida tires from all the mugginess and the salt than if I maybe say I'm out of like Montana or Colorado.
I agree with you, and we're gathering and we are building the biggest database of real data, of real performances, of real vehicles, real units that are using tires. So pretty soon we will be able to suggest you that in this route, the top 3 tires in this kind of vehicles are that one. So we will give you that recommendation. So far, what we are doing, we are suggesting in your own data, based on your own data, which is the best tires for this route and operation. But right now, we are launching a feature that is recommending another top 3 tires that has a really good performance. So you could use it and see if it has a good performance for you or not. But 10, 15, 20% of improvement just with purchasing a better tire is a lot of money. But also, just by fulfilling our recommendations, you could extend the life of your current tire by 30%. So we will have this power, and we are gathering, and we will do it pretty soon.
And having a lot of customers over a lot of different countries and stuff, is there any cool things you found out when we're looking at who buys tires and what kind of fleet? Is every kind of country have the same goals or company, or are some companies like, look, I just want to be cheap. I don't care if it blows. That's someone else's problem. Or is it on the other end where it says, I want a really good tire that'll like never go out?
It depends, and it depends of the operation, depends of the country. What we have seen, for example, our US clients, that safety is the most important, and a blowout and a flat on road, it's pretty expensive. So if you could reduce the probability of a blowout or flat, could be really valuable. On the second point, we have the cost containment. So we will help you to reduce up to 30% their cost. The third, the last and not least, is the environmental. So for big enterprises, like seeing how much CO2 tons they are reducing for better usage of your tires is pretty important. But for LATAM, for example, the most important is cost. Why? Because safety is not so important, and it's not so expensive. There are more hidden costs in North America than LATAM or Mexico or Brazil that are related for a repair of a tire or for a blowout. What we have seen with our clients, for example, dairy clients or bottlers clients in the US comparison with LATAM, is a blowout could be 5 times or 6 times more expensive in the North America than in LATAM. So that's the reason safety is more important. But also it depends of the industry, it depends of, because a, a freight forwarder has a different operation than a bus company or than a bottler or than a food company such as JVS. Everything's different. So the power of what we're building is that we customize based on your own data, based on your own vehicles, based on your own routes. And based on that, you are gathering like the power of our algorithms. So it depends, but totally agree with you. Even though tires are the same, tires full like has different pains and problems in different countries. Clients such as Cemex, we have seen that they have the same problem in the US, in Latam, in Africa, in Asia, because they have a worldwide fleet. But the way how they solve it, it's different depending on the region.
And I'm thinking, if I'm a worldwide customer, the types of roads across the world are different. So when the rubber meets the road, it may be a very different material. Was there any cool things you learned on, like, I guess, certain roads eat up certain types of tires because every country has their own road standards?
Yeah, I agree with you. And also it depends on the weather. Depending of the weather, one tire could be better than other. So it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to see the insights we're gathering with the data of tires, and how these insights could affect the business of a fleet operator. I'm pretty happy that right now this new generation of fleet operators, they're looking for new kind of solutions, technology that makes their life easier, but also makes their assets more efficient. And one of their biggest assets is the vehicle, the truck, the trailer, but also the tire that is inside those vehicles. So many kind of stories and insights we get. But the cool thing is how these insights are currently affecting your business, and how we could help you to reduce tons of money and reduce also the blowouts and flats with this kind of insights. So you're right, Tom. It's unbelievable. Tires exist, same vehicles exist, and there are not enough data to take the best decisions about tires. I have been talking with a potential client that has 600 trailers before I had this call with you, and he was letting me know, like, it's incredible. I have heard that for someone else, one tire is the best one, but for others is other, but for others is others. It's like anyone has their favorite one, but they don't have data, actual data currently, like real data, hard data about how taking their decisions. So we're giving you, and we're giving the industry the possibility to take a simple decision that could means millions of dollars.
So it's kind of the old school versus the new school approach. The old school was, well, I just like this brand of tire. I've used it forever. It works. I'm going to keep buying it. And then the new approach with the younger generations and you're having luck with is that folks are like, hey, look, maybe I need to see if this is actually the best tire and try to save some money versus just pick a brand and go with it.
I agree with you. That's what we're doing. That's what we're building. And I'm pretty happy that this is the right timing. And also, the transportation business is not as profitable as it used to be. So, right now, this new generation of leaders, what we have seen is that they are looking for new technologies that helps them reduce their costs because on prices, they could not increase as fast as possible as the costs are increasing. So that's what we have seen. Also, there is a big challenge we have, like changing this mindset that it's important to invest in technology, simple technology, but pretty important. Uh, the industry is just changing. This is just the starting. So what I see in a future is that the companies that doesn't invest in technology will not succeed because they will not have like a competitive advantage in comparison with their competitors. So I agree with you, but I think this is a good timing. Companies and fleet operators are more conscious about this, and it's easier. When we started, it was a little bit complicated because companies didn't trust that this kind of simple technology could help them to extend the life of their current tire with a enhanced maintenance and detect potential mechanical failures. Right now it's easily because we have like large international clients that are using our solution, and we have testimonials and we have business cases of how many millions of dollars they have reduced it because of the usage of our technology. But it's a good timing, and I think this kind of media is also helping and being aware this new generation of fleet operators and leaders that technology, we need to live it. And right now is the life of the era of AI. We have to be part of it and be very aware about these tools.
Were a lot of companies, when you first started out speaking to them, did they ever actually consider how much they paid? Because I remember when I was in fleets, the cost of tires usually got like buried into a maintenance thing, and sometimes we'd look at it, but it also got lumped in. It's almost like people weren't thinking about how much they spent, and they couldn't even wrap their head around, oh crap, I'm spending a lot, until someone broke it down for them and was like, hey, look, you could like save a bunch.
That's a great question. We have two kind of clients. One of them, for example, one a very good friend in Tennessee. The first question I asked him, he has a medium fleet of about 700 vehicles. I told him, and I asked him how much money you're spending on tires each month or each year, and he doesn't have an answer for that question. After our second meeting, he let me know how much money they're spending, all their KPIs. But even though is their second largest cost, they don't have this information. So some others, they're pretty good. They have all the information, they have all the traceability, they know how long their tires are lasting, and they get in love of our solution pretty fast because they could see and imagine how they could digitalize all this paper-based data that they have and optimize it with our solution. But we have two of them, and we have very large fleets that they don't have any kind of information and they rely on paper-based.
So it's the trucking equivalent. I'm going to throw a shoe analogy at you. The trucking equivalent of running a marathon, but you don't even know what kind of shoes you have.
I agree with you. So imagine you're running a marathon in a mountain. You will change the brand of shoes you have. But imagine it's in a city. You will change your shoes. And also your training. The training to run a marathon in a mountain is quite different to run in an urban city. It's the same. And the training in our case is maintenance. So, yeah, it's a great analogy that I will start use it with all of my clients right now.
Fair use, fair use. Use it. Spread the word, because it's one of those things when you wrap your head around it, you're thinking, man, I wish I had paid attention to it. And another aspect is for the environment. And I like this stat here from an article that Gray Sharkey interviewed you with. It said there are more than 1.5 billion tires discarded annually, and tire wear accounts for 30% of microplastic pollution in our oceans. I didn't even consider that if I have my tires that they're pumping out the plastic as well. It's like, dang, I thought I avoided the plastics, and bada bing, it found me anyway.
Yeah, it's incredible. Tires are like the pink elephant that is in the room and no one wants to talk about it. And many people talk about engine, brakes, fuel, but not tires. And every year, there are more than 3 billion tires that are produced and there are 1.5 billion tires discarded. And around 20 to 40% of all these discarded tires, they end up in landfills, river, ocean. So, and every year, and we, the fleet operators, we're the ones who are causing this problem, and we need to solve it. How we could solve it? Extending the life of their tires. Pretty simple, but there is a good thing to do it. And the second point that there's some starting research that says that 28 to 30% of all the microplastic pollution that is in the ocean comes from tires. And it's unbelievable. But I have been in the Chattanooga Aquarium, and there is like one activity for kids, and they see how many microplastic particles they have, and they could move it and see in the ocean, and all of them come from tires. So big problem, and we have to tackle. But most important, we have to talk about it, because if we are not aware about this problem, we are not gonna solve it. So if we are aware, we're gonna say, okay, I wanna reduce my cost, but also I wanna improve the environment, because this is what we could do as fleet operators for our child, our grandchildren, and also from our families. We could improve it. Right now, there are better fuels, better energy to reduce the carbon emissions, but tires, there's something we have to do, and something simple is extend the life of your tires, extend the life of your shoes, and you will feel better.
I was thinking about you. I was at a Kenworth test track in Washington State, and it's a mile and a quarter long track. And I asked them because they had an environmental guy. I was like, "What are you doing for your tire microplastic leachates?" And he said, surprisingly, they send somebody out there. They try to scrub that thing down and limit the leachates. And I thought, man, y'all passed the test, because that's my next question I'm asking everybody. It's that one. And if you have a battery electric truck, how explodey are your battery packs? And that's another fun conversation starter.
I agree with you. I love your job. It's like talk about very funny and excitement topics that is currently happening in our industry.
And this is one of the coolest topics because it's one of those things that it becomes so plainly obvious that you see it's super important, but you just take it for granted. And I'm thinking like for the tires and the used ones, because I'm thinking like a landfill, can you just melt them down? Or when you're talking about it, you just have to get the most out of it because once it's gone, it's not really repurposable. So it's super important to extend the life.
Okay, there are some ways how to recycle or use it. You could like separate the steel from the rubber, and the rubber it could be used for different kind of sources, for example, for asphalt or for parks, and you could sell also the steel. And there are some other companies that are building like more efficient ways how to like separate the rubber from the steel, for example, by pyrolysis. But what we're doing in RueData is creating the software for the fleet operators to extend the life of their tires, to improve the probability of a retread or a recap. In some cases, with our software, we have seen that the retread performs 20 or 30% better than a new tire. In some others don't. So our system suggests when it does and when it doesn't. But how we are solving the problem and how we are helping the fleet operators is by extending, reducing mechanical failures, checking all those failures, and reduce your cost. There's another big problem. Yesterday, I was talking with someone who has a cemetery of tires in Denver, and he was letting me know like new technologies, how to like disposal tires and how to use it. But that's another big challenge that they have with tires. I asked the same question you asked for that guy, that folk, about what he thinks about the microplastic pollution that belongs to tires, and he told me that's pretty interesting, because right now what we have seen is that our technology maybe is not the best one to recycle and dispose of their tires, because it still have the problem with the microplastics, part with the plastic particles. So that's not something we are working on it. what we want to do. And for example, with big clients, big cement companies, we have seen that they want to guarantee that the tire that they dispose of has a real disposal process. So we could work with these kind of companies to guarantee that the same tire that a fleet use it for 200,000 miles, then we thread it and use it in different kind of vehicles. Then they dispose it, and that they have a real disposal process. So we could like digitalize and enhance and guarantee to the traceability that they are doing a really good disposal process with real traceability. So we could build that. We have received those ideas from some of our clients, but we're focusing in increasing the efficiency of the tire rolling in the vehicle. And there are some other folks that also are working in how to disposal and recycle the tires with better technology.
Well, half the battle is just getting the knowledge out there. And Sebastian, really appreciate you coming on the show, telling us about the technology and what folks can do. If people want to learn more about RueData, get in contact, get more information, what's the best way they can find out?
Great, that's great. So the best way how to find us is go to our website is ruedata.com, is ruedata.com, and also in our social network in LinkedIn, RueData, RUE and on Instagram. You could find us there. Please let us know if you have any question, and if you want to know more about the system, please reach out us, and we will be pretty happy to show you how thousands of vehicles are of clients are using our solution, and they're having those benefits we have been talking during this conversation.
Perfect. Sebastian, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We're going to catch up again soon for sure.
For sure. Let's have a copy.
That's going to be a wrap for this episode. But if you're just joining us, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, wherever you can find your podcast. While you're at it, subscribe to the Loaded and Rolling newsletter, FreightWaves.com/loaded and rolling. It goes out on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's a wrap for this show, folks. You also want to check out the Freight Fraud Symposium. Toss it on the screen, May 14th. Sign up for it. One-day event, Dallas, Texas. Super cool stuff. Watch out for fraud and go from there. That's it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you again next week.